What's up, YouTube? Wes here. Hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, we're going to cover what is happening in the federal government sector once again. Are they coming after crypto? Short answer is yes, they are. In this video, we're going to talk about some brand new things that have just happened as of today, with an increase of staffing around the Security and Exchange Commission, along with other federal agencies as well, getting ready to sink their teeth into crypto. What's that going to mean? What should you do about it? Well, we're going to cover all of that coming right up. Friends, thank you guys so much for joining me once again. I love talking about crypto on this channel. Talk about other things too, like financial independence and being an entrepreneur. All of these awesome things are right here in this channel. So I'd love for you to hit like, hit subscribe. I know I always ask, but it really goes a long way. We're getting so close to 100,000 subs. It'll only happen if you do it. So I'd love for you to do that. Okay, let's just jump into content. One of the things that is really a buzz all today is all of the news around what's happening in the federal government. If you have not been paying attention to my channel, I have been really sticking to the news quite a bit anytime new things happen in the crypto industry, especially around regulation. I used to be a banker, so I know very much how this works. I understand how regulators think and act. And I've been saying for a while on this channel that we know regulation is coming. We know that SEC Chair Gensler has been talking quite a bit about regulating, especially starting with stablecoins. I've covered that a lot on this channel. And we also see it's not just the SEC, it's the CFTC, it's IRS, so many, even FinCEN, Treasury. There's so many different groups that are all really diving into crypto. Now, one of the things that's important to remember is they know that they need to regulate it. They want to regulate it because they see it as something that's completely out of control. The smart regulators are coming back saying things like, well, we don't want to completely quash innovation. And I think that's an important piece. One thing that regulators need to know, and if you're watching this and you are a regulator, you've come across my channel and just doing like research, hear me loud and clear, Mr. Miss Regulator. Do not regulate into obscurity. Do not do what you did to the banking sector, that you regulate it so heavily that banks simply can't compete. One of the reasons that we've even seen a huge move to cryptocurrency as a whole is for that same reason. There are so many people in the population, not just in the US, but overseas, that are completely unbanked. They have absolutely no banking account whatsoever. You have inaccess to funds. You have the inability for certain people groups to be able to approach and have access to a bank and the features of it. And crypto, in a large way, is trying to solve for those challenges. Let's not forget what Satoshi Nakamoto originally wrote into his very first Bitcoin transaction ever transacted. It's called the Genesis block. If you don't know it, basically he sent a link to the financial collapse of 2008. He linked to it. So it's also sort of this fight back against the system, some of the corruption that's happened in the banking sector as a whole. So I say all that to say this: understand that regulators gonna regulate. Like, that's what they do. So let's stay abreast of what's happening and let's talk about some of the news. We're going to share my screen out and let's jump into some of this. So this comes from CNN, and they're talking about Securities and Exchange Commission is vastly expanding its fight against cryptocurrency fraud by hiring more than a dozen new employees. Now, when you hear vastly increasing, you probably think like I do, oh, thousands? No, just like, a dozen, 12, 13, 14. But that's still a massive increase. That's still a big focus. Now, I don't think that massive focus, you're going to see this impact just like average Joes like you or me. It's really a very big focus on what we're seeing around the crypto programs that are out there. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Celsius. Down below, I have an awesome referral code. If you put in $400 or more, you're going to get $50 back from Celsius. Go take a look at that. A great way to get into an earn program. But even the government is really clamped down, the SEC in particular, around these earn programs. BlockFi had a huge fine earlier this year. I think it was $100 million. Celsius had to suspend their earn program for users that are not accredited investors. And it's really upsetting a lot of people. But this is where the government's going. They're really forcing a clamp down on what's happening in crypto because they see it as unstable and they see it as, for better or for worse, for truth or not, it's being used a lot for fraud. Now, we know that the US dollar is used for fraud far more, orders of magnitude more than crypto. So let's just be honest, right? So the additional 20 positions will result in a doubling of the agency's cyber unit. So I guess that they were at 10. So they've doubled it, but it's still only 20. It's still quite small. So we know that this is just the next iteration in the movement towards more heavy regulation of crypto. So look at what SEC Chair Gensler said: by nearly doubling the size of this key unit, the SEC will be better equipped to police wrongdoing in the crypto markets while continuing to identify disclosure and control issues with respect to cybersecurity. So I'm curious to know, as a cybersecurity expert, what they really mean by that. Like, is it cybersecurity? It's probably dealing with a lot of not just like the fraud and ransomware that's happening, but also a lot of the major hacks. I've covered a bunch of them. Axie Infinity was one of the most recent ones that happened, with like over $500 million stolen from that entire platform. Absolutely mind boggling. But I also think they're looking at the stability of the financial ecosystem and the threat that cryptocurrency poses towards it, right? So there's the rest of the article. I wanted to also show you this one from Yahoo Finance. So this one comes in, it has a little bit more information around all of it, right? So as more investors access the crypto markets, it's increasingly important to dedicate more resources to protecting them. The Division of Enforcement's Crypto Assets and Cyber Unit has successfully brought dozens of cases against those seeking to take advantage of investors in crypto markets. Now, I really hate part of that, right? How do you know they're seeking to take advantage? Maybe some of those programs they have, but if they include BlockFi and Celsius and Nexo and all these other great earn programs for consumers, if that is what Chair Gensler calls, what did he say again? Seeking to take advantage of investors, that's a shame. That's a true shame that he would say that. But let's not read into his words, because I'm not for sure that's who they were talking about. So the article goes on, and they talk about, their focus on protecting crypto asset offerings, right? So new crypto programs that are coming out, especially those that may be deemed as security, that have tokens that go with them, crypto exchanges, crypto lending products, which we've talked about a little bit. You're going to see that happen. Don't be surprised to see some of these awesome lending programs also get shut down, because they're a direct threat to banks and they don't view the stability inside all of that as something safe. In other words, take a look at what Celsius is doing. You can get low sub 1% APY loans if you're under 25% loan to value. The SEC does not like this, apparently speaking. Apparently, they are not happy with that capability and think that, the market can completely tank way beyond a 75% drop, thereby terminating a bunch of these loans. And they're trying to prevent these things from happening. So don't be surprised to see a deeper clampdown, even on loan programs that are out there. But then here's where it gets really interesting. They're also going after decentralized finance platforms, NFTs, and stablecoins. Stablecoins we've known for quite some time, right? But DeFi platforms and NFTs, that's new. And that's significant. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. So a lot of quotes are coming up. They're continuing to call this. This is James Engel, associate professor at Georgetown. So calling, he's trying to tame the wild west of crypto. And here's kind of what I think about this. I'm like, the wild west of crypto. Probably it's the wild west crypto for you, Mr. Engel, because you probably have no idea what crypto is. I bet I could ask him how many million Bitcoin will ever be created. I bet I could ask him, what's the difference between proof of work, proof of script? And he would have no clue whatsoever. See, a lot of these people that are so anti crypto, they just simply don't understand it. And I'm coming at this from a technologist perspective, not an economist, not a regulator, not a moon pumper for sure, or any of those other things. And it gets kind of frustrating when you read people's statements like that. This is long overdue. Ha ha ha, right? There's been too much fraud and manipulation in the crypto space, and it's time to protect investors from the fraudsters. And I'm like, okay, so did you put some money in with Coinbase and got phished and all your money got stolen? Because you seem like you got an agenda here. You seem like you got a bone to pick, Mr. Engel. What's the deal? Yes, it's risky. Yes, not your keys, not your crypto. Yes, you're on your own. And maybe to an even some degree, I could even agree with Wild West. But it's not so bad as they might say. Too much fraud and manipulation. Long overdue. I'm not sure about that. Let's make sure that as we bring regulation in, that we don't listen to over listen to people like that simply seem to be pretty hawkish or sharkish, so to speak. The industry has been begging for clear rules, and our government still hasn't figured them out, he said. So the SEC goes after anything that spells bad to the SEC. Now that's a fair comment. I'm cool with that one, right? Like, here's the deal: when you're going to go after DeFi, you're going to go after NFTs. You better issue some clarity before just dropping some stuff in front of everybody. This is what we want to see. The government hasn't done a good job of moving forward with better clarity in the industry, and we need to see more of that as we go forward. Then they also mentioned the SEC brought 80 enforcement actions, up to 2 billion in fines, and I mentioned BlockFi. Yep, there it was. It was 100 million. So we know that this stuff is coming. We know the clampdown on Celsius, for example, on their Earn program. These things are happening. And then they mentioned, Chainalysis. It's a company that tracks a lot of blockchain analytics. Is showing 3.2 billion in crypto theft. Now, a lot of that is not just because of crypto. It's yes, crypto enables ransomware, for example. But it's let's be honest. It's not a problem directly of crypto, so to speak. It's a problem of cybercrime far more than that as well. So there you have it. And here's what I wanted to kind of finish on. I said I would come back to this, and I am coming back to it. Before you go after DeFi, before you go after NFTs, you need to be able to present much better clarity to the average Joe consumer like me. For example, if the federal government wants to clamp down on DeFi without giving capabilities and reporting mechanisms around it, they've got a problem for themselves. Many DeFi platforms have absolutely no tax exports. Like, it's very much difficult, if not impossible, if you're heavy into the DeFi space, to be able to accurately report tax gains. So we're missing the technology pieces, and we're missing the clarity from the government. Why are they treating some crypto like assets when it's virtually impossible to track the trading of those assets in the blockchain or in the DeFi platforms themselves? So it's just one example I'm giving, let alone, NFTs. What's going to happen with taxation of NFTs? Who knows? Right now, those should be treated as a taxable event when they're bought and sold, I suppose. I'm not your CPA. I'm not a accredited financial advisor, but I'm just saying we lack clarity in all of this space. So before we see clampdown from the government, I'd rather see clarity come from them. And I'd rather see a humble and honest and open approach towards engaging the community, and especially consumers like me and you, so they can get a better feel for what they're trying to get their hands around, rather than just trying to regulate because I'm going to regulate. So there's my thoughts for you. And as I've said before, I'm not optimistic at all with what's happening with the federal government. It's going to continue to harm the ecosystem, but regulation hopefully will eventually, once it finally gets through with the disruption it will cause and the elimination of innovation, which is true, hopefully we'll finally get to a stage where they're comfortable, we can survive and thrive and innovate. But until we get there, it's going to be a messy journey, and it's going to be a hard one, and it's going to hurt the economy as we move forward. That's just the way regulations go. However, I'll end with this. Is it going to do what their ultimate goal is, at least the way they publicly say it, which is to protect the economy, protect the consumer? Jury is still out. I'd say the history, probably not, but we'll have to see how well they perform. Love to know what you think. As always, hit like, hit subscribe. Leave me a comment down below on what you think about all of this. Is it good, bad for the industry? Neither? Let me know what you think. Until next time, my friends, thank you so very much.